Hey guys, it's Rose, and today I thought that I would do a little library haul for you. I do go to the library all the time. Unfortunately, I cannot afford to buy as many books as I can read in a month, and I do love supporting my local library, so I pick up a lot from there, either on loan, or occasionally I have a couple this week or this month that are bought from the library sales shelves. And every now and then when I do that, I figured I would share it with you because we all like seeing what each other are reading. So this month I have a little bit of a range. I was feeling in something of a light and warm and fuzzy mood because it's the holidays, got my tree. So because of the holidays, I wanted to pick up some things that were a little easier to read and that were very pleasant and very light. So I got a few chick lit pieces, first of which is this one, Wedding Night by Sophie Kinsella. Sophie Kinsella is actually probably my favorite author for chick lit style novels. I really enjoy how she writes. They are not always as 100% predictable as some others are. They are very popular and they're a whole lot of fun. Wedding Night is about a girl whose reaction to not being proposed to by her boyfriend is the thoroughly logical one of running away with a summer fling from her year abroad as a 19-year-old, as you do, obviously. And as usual, it's sort of Sophie Kinsella style. I'm sure there'll be lots of slapstick and ridiculousness and a main character that probably makes me want to go, just be normal. But that's kind of the joy of it. And I do also really enjoy that Kinsella doesn't always, or doesn't often even make her heroines, her protagonists, 100% likable. These are very, very imperfect women, and they're often kind of annoying in a lot of ways. And they have something in them that makes them very likable and that makes you want to root for them even though you kind of want to slap them in the face at the same time. So I'm looking forward to that. Also in the holiday spirit, I picked up this. It's called Christmas Magic by Kathy Kelly. I have not read anything by this author before. I picked up this book solely because it was in the holiday read section of my library, and it looked better than most of the other ones in there. There weren't too many, and I thought it'd be nice to read something a little bit Christmassy. It's a collection of short stories, and I don't usually do short stories. I actually prefer trilogies and series and giant books, and the bigger the better kind of thing. So short stories often to me feel like by the time I've read through it, I haven't even had enough time to connect to it, so I don't care and I forget about it 10 seconds later. But I thought I'd give it a shot. It's very Christmassy. It's all pink and sparkly on the cover, so why not? Next up, we have this one. This is called The Remarkable Courtship of General Tom Thumb, and it is by Nicholas Rinaldi. This is kind of my historical fiction for the month. I do have another that sits with that as well. But this one is about, obviously, Tom Thumb, which, if you do not know, was part of the Barnum and Bailey museum slash circus slash freak show situation going on at the turn of the century. Before the turn of the century, really. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, one of the reasons that I wanted to pick this book up is that I don't know this period in history very well. I read a lot about the old kings and queens, and I've read a lot about the Romans and the Greeks, and I've read a lot about the 20s and the 40s and the 50s, but there's this sort of bit from the late 1800s to the early 1900s that is kind of blank. So I thought it'd be fun to read that. It has also obviously got a lot to do with his very public marriage, and I'm hoping that it's going to be kind of a romance as well. And I love the circus freak element of things. I love reading about burlesque and freak shows and anything that's a little bit outside the margins of society at a time when society was very, very tightly margined. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then I picked up, this is my other historical one. This is Cynthia Harrods Eagles. That's actually the author's name. It's one of those weird books where the author gets a bigger place on the cover than the title does. The title is The Phoenix, but it is part of the Moreland Dynasty series, which I've read a few of. Essentially what this author does is she takes a single family and follows it generation to generation from way back. I think the first one starts at around about the War of the Roses, I believe, and this is the latest and 35th book in her series. So it follows this family from all the way from War of the Roses up until this one is in the 40s, I believe, and you don't need to read them in order, which is really nice. And I love the way they're written. They're a really nice sort of glimpse into these very specific points in time. And I really enjoy them. I'd actually love to have this entire collection to own. Of course, most of the books are about this size because they're not small books. And there are 35 of them. So I would essentially need an entire bookcase just for these, but I would love to have them. I would love to one day read through them all again in order. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. My last borrowing from the library is one that's not fiction, not a story. It's actually just a book called The Tapping Solution. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't always like to talk too much about some of the more popular psychology or self-helpy type books that I read. I find them really interesting. I also find them something that don't necessarily need to be overshared with people. If you're interested in it, it's a book about a practice called EFT tapping, which is meant to be a way of helping deal with your emotions, your anxieties, negative situations, and that kind of thing. I would really recommend Googling about it, but I won't be reviewing it. I won't be talking about it too much. Finally, as I was on my way out, I was snatched away by the sale shelves because obviously that happens. There are books I can buy. And these ones are incredibly cheap. These ones are about $1 a piece at my local library, which is awesome. And I picked up two. One is another Kinsella book. This is Shopaholic and Sister by Sophie Kinsella. I have read it before. It's a really fun, light novel in a series called the Shopaholic series, which I'm sure you've heard of, which is all about a girl called Becky who essentially is really bad at saving money or handling money, but is kind of adorable about it and very sweet and well-intentioned, and just that's her big blind spot. And it gets her into all kind of trouble, and Kinsella has an element of slapstick to it, which I think is really fun for a novel that's a fun chick litty style thing. And so I have read it. I do like it. I know I enjoy it, so I thought I'd pick it up to own for those days when you don't really want to take a risk on something new. You may not even want to go and revisit something that you have a huge emotional connection to because you're already feeling kind of emotional. You just don't want to, or you want to take it to the beach so you don't care if it ends up getting ruined with margaritas and sand. And this is like the perfect book for that. It's just fun. Finally, the last one that I picked up is called The Left Hand of God, and this is by Paul Hoffman. I actually picked it up because, I don't know if you can see, there is a little review on the front there that says, "Wonderful" by Con Iggulden, and I really enjoy Con Iggulden. He's another historical fiction author, a very famous one, and if he says that it's good, then I'm going to read it because I really like him. So apparently it's about, I have no idea what, honestly. I literally bought this because it said "Wonderful" on the front from Con Iggulden and because it was $1. The bit on the back just says, "His name is Kale. They told him he could destroy the world. Maybe he will." So I have no idea what's going on with this. Sometimes I think that's kind of fun to pick up a book, especially secondhand or at the library, that you don't know what's happening with. It could be anything. It could be terrible. It could be fantastic. It could be the best thing you've ever read. It could be something that you can't even get your entire way through. So I thought I'd take a little recommendation there. Obviously, whoever they chose to pick the quotes on the front did a really good job, except that I didn't buy it full price. Either way, it's going to be interesting. I don't know when I'll read it. It's been added to the pile, and maybe one day I'll read it, and I may even do a little video about that one specifically because it's such a random pick. And that was what I collected from the library. So that's 7 books. I will read at least 5 of them in the next couple of weeks because I have to, because then I have to give them back. And when I do, I will undoubtedly pick up a bunch more, and then I will do another one of these videos so you can see what else I got. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books, if you have any great stories about your local library, comment, let me know, let's start a discussion, let's chat about the thing that I love best. And other than that, have a fantastic holiday and have a great night. Thanks. Bye.